Hey guys. Alright, we've got some letters here, and I thought I'd go ahead and start on them. I'm not finished all the letters because I need to do the other ones. Just gonna move over a little bit. Alright. But I thought, I got this far and I thought, I already made a mistake, so I may as well video it and you can see my mistakes in progress. It happens, seems like, on every project. I need a gray on the background here. I don't need a red. That's Laz. So I'm just going to change that up a little bit. Give myself a gray color. I wonder which paintbrush I want to use. Oh, cheers, by the way. Left-handed coffee drinking may be a problem. Let's do this one. I'm just having fun. Alright. I would need a gray here. So I got some white and a black. Dark gray is okay, but I want it a little bit more. So this big project, I'm hoping to use up my acrylic paints. Because I want to switch into natural pigments. I think that fits better with my recycling. So let's get this mixed up. Starting to become gray. And when I mentioned this, I'm not a painter, obviously, and this isn't a painting channel. So we're not here for the painting. We're here for the crafting. And oops, that just popped out. And it's not fancy crafting either. I like grunge, the grungy look, and the rough recycling, and I like to do the builds. So I think that's okay. That'll work. But I'll just let that dry for a little bit. So we're just gonna give it a base because these are gonna be graffiti grunge letters. Yes, it's gonna be pink later, but I need a background that I can sand down into. So I'm gonna add this dark gray. Turned out almost exactly the purple or gray that I wanted, actually. So we've got some chips over here. Got some sharp edges. I like that. The person that I'm fixing this for deals with chronic pain, sharp pain. She's super tough about it. So I want to give her a super tough wall hanging. Right, Laz? It's another tough one over there. Alright. And while I was doing this one, I thought I would talk about the what should I call it? Lessons learned in being a generous person. I think that's what I want to title this video as. If you're watching this channel when it says healing is recycle crafting, I'm assuming that you might have sort of like a generous part of your character. So let's talk about that, because it's the lessons learned, pretty much the lessons learned the hard way. First of all, money is so subjective, and I'll give you an example. And what I'm doing is, from my analytics, I have people my age watching, and I have people my kids' age watching. That's the 30 and 29. So I think this will apply to both of you, which is why I thought of the story. Thought about talking about it, and I hope it does. Oops. So first, let's go back to the value of $1. Let's something that I kind of just didn't pay attention to that before. First of all, I grew up with my dad giving us whatever our little hearts desired. That didn't come from nothing. That came because he's an older father, and he lost 5 of his children, and only 8 of us survived. So I think that made him possibly more patient and generous than you could be, like. And I guess the only thing stopping me at that time of going out and buying everything is that we were in such a remote place, and it was so isolated, and shopping trips were like a super outing that we really didn't know what to get. It's kind of like now, if you can think of it, you can Google it and find something. Like, I found some amazing retro clocks that might fit on this. Like, I wouldn't even know that there is those cool retro clocks, so I wouldn't buy it. And that's how it was for me growing up. In our small towns, there really wasn't much shopping. So when I say he gave us whatever we wanted, that's in the context that there wasn't that much around for shopping. So I have a few extra E's, and they're going to be blue, but I still need the blue backgrounds, so they're going to be the other word, so I'm still going to paint them anyways. Okay, and then, so anyway, that was a crazy life. I'll tell the story about some of the other parts of that world. I'm just going to talk about money for a bit. So he passed away when I was 19, and this is the real story where when you're a teenager or you're a very young person and you've got a senior parent, his health was having difficulty at the end. Just probably call it, he basically worked himself to death, doing very hard work. Now that I'm his age now, I can't imagine having the agility and the strength to do the kind of work he was doing. But anyways, he's a really good guy, and I miss him every day. But he passed on when I was 19, and that's when my very shocking, horrible, poor phase stepped in. I mean poor. I wound up in a motel in the nearest larger small town. I'm in the southern interior, BC, and I had to go to work. The first job I found was McDonald's. How many say yay if that was you? And it was okay, but it didn't pay the rent, right? Didn't pay the rent. So I got another job as well in a sandwich shop, and I'm a hard worker. I grew up throwing bales and helping my dad build fences, and hard work is okay with me. I don't have a fragile limb in my body, which is why I always keep saying I'm rough sometimes on my art. So I had to get a couple of jobs. I think that's pretty standard these days, the way things are. But I remember one time lugging my 2 suitcases. That's all I had, pretty much, was your kind of work clothes, an extra shoe or something, and dropping it off at the more ragged rental that I could afford. And I finally got it through my numbskull that I better go to school and try to get an education and make some money and be able to support myself. Nobody was gonna come and rescue me, that's for sure. My mom had already passed when I was 15, but she'd actually left when I was 8. So then she left when I was 15, or died, actually. Died of cirrhosis of the liver, heavy drinking. Both my parents drank. But anyways, I did go to school, and I remember my monthly income for going to school, I calculated, was $528 a month. And my rent was, I think, $310 for a room. Shared bathroom down the hall and like a hot plate or whatever in the room. And it was not uncommon for me to have rice to eat. Actually, I didn't have enough money to buy a monthly bus pass, and that was around $50. So I spent $75 on a mountain bike so I could ride up and down the hills to get to the university in Victoria. But there were many days when I would get back and have rice. And when I had a few dollars, I'd go and there's a store just right by the house that I was renting. I would go and buy some bacon and rice. All right, so we got the base coat now, and actually, you know what? I need a base coat on here too, don't I? So that was the 4-student period. Very common, I'm sure, for people. And then I wound up, all that time actually I was in a relationship that I was with a person that was working 10 years older than me in another town, but I humorously asked him when we were going out if we could meet and have our last dinner. Called it the last dinner. Because I said, I can't be tied up with you. I've got to get to move to Victoria and continue my education, because I'm not going to, even though I had a fairly decent summer job at that time because I was a student, that was going to end, and I needed to go back. So I said, I don't think, yeah, it's fun and all that, but I'd already been hungry. I'd already had crappy places to live, and I didn't want to sentence myself to that anymore. So I wanted him to know that I was on my way. So he was pretty cool about it, and he said, you know what, I'm going to come and visit you, and, we never have to say never or whatever. So he actually stayed in the background. I wouldn't say he came to Victoria like we were seeing each other all the time, but a few times during the semester. So anyway, when I graduated, that relationship returned because I finished my, I guess you call it a field study out in Prince George, when that ended, I actually got hired in the town where he was at and where I had left from. Don't worry, it's not a true love story. That was a 13-year relationship, and because we're talking about money, that was the double income, no kids period of my life. Double income, no kids for 13 years. Together, we were earning $100,000 a year. I was earning 35, and he was earning, I don't know, more. I know it was more. I don't remember what, because I just know that it pissed me off, because I'm like, I went to school for this, and I'm not even making that much. But anyways, we had the double income, no kids. So we went to the holidays in Mexico. We played all the sports. We had an indoor tennis membership. It was just a young time period and a very, very busy. We played all kinds of sports. And for some reason, his office had a really good social arranger, so she kept us busy. So we had a co-ed baseball team that we played in that went to tournaments. I didn't go, but they even went to Mexico for a tournament. And because I had to work. But yeah, that was a 13-year. And it seems like a long time, but his job took him away all the time. So he'd be gone. He wouldn't be there for. He might be back. He might be back on a weekend, or he might stay traveling for a couple of weekends. So I don't think we were ever together for more than 4 days, except for on our holidays, through that whole time period. So it's pretty darn easy to get along with someone when you're not really around someone, you know what I mean? So that's a very different life, I'm telling you. I'm not the person that gets along normally with people that have a lot of money. I suppose you could say the way my dad was, we were middle. We had more than we needed, but I didn't even know then about going on holidays or anything. National Geographic was my travel. So it's not what it's cut out to be, guys. There's a competitiveness, there's just a weirdness, because I'll give you an example. After I graduated and got my job, I had friends at work, right? And let me tell you, everybody that's retired knows they're not really friends. They're acquaintances that you see every day. You spend more time with them than you spend with your family. But you don't keep in touch after you retire. You got nothing in common to talk about, especially if they're still working. So this is not a poor me. This is a please go home. Don't work extra, especially for free. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm having fun with these ladies in my foursome of tennis, indoor tennis, and we spent a lot of time practicing together. At the height, we were practicing 10 hours a week because we wanted to win in the club tournament. And I asked one of them if they wanted, I needed to get ready for attending a wedding or something, and I asked one of them if they wanted to meet me on the weekend and have coffee and go shopping together. Because I think she was going away on a trip and she needed some suits or something. So I asked her if she wanted to go shopping. Guys, that was an NO. That was an NO. So can you imagine? I had all these groups of people. I had people that I played tennis with. I had people that I played co-ed ball with. People that I golfed with. Curling, bowling, jogging, aerobics. I had people to go and do busy stuff with, but that didn't translate to spending time with them without the busyness. They were too busy with their family because we were the double income, no kids. They actually did have kids sometimes. So that's the lesson. I would go home after work and have this huge yard to look after, because that's the other thing. If you get a quarter of an acre in the town, think that looks beautiful with all the flowers and everything. That's actually a huge time commitment for weeding, mowing, watering. So that's what I would be doing. So it got super lonely. It's lonely. So anyways, that relationship ended. Of course, he loved the long distance part of the relationship because he was completely unfaithful. I can say that now because you won't know who he is, and he was older than me, so he's passed away now. But really fun, but not a loyal person, let's put it that way. Anyway, that relationship ended, and then I went into I'm going to be single, met my kid's dad, and had a couple of kids. That relationship went south real soon, so I was a single mother now with an okay income. But it wasn't the poor, and it wasn't the 100K life. It was just, I'll tell you, after I paid all the bills and I paid all the bills, I remember one time realizing that I had $180 that needed to last me for 2 weeks before the next payday. That's after I paid the rent, the power, the phone. Back in those days, the phone was on the wall still. You know, paying the utilities, buying groceries. I had to have $180 just to make it for 2 weeks, and I commuted. I think it was $20 a day, my commute. So it was doable, but if I had a car breakdown or anything like that, it was going to be a problem. Oh yeah, and of course I had debt. Debt started to grow. Okay. So that's what I call the single income period. And then I retired. My kids went off to do their thing, and I got a minimum wage job because I retired early. So I worked for minimum wage, minimum $15. Stocking shelves was one job, and then I did laundry in a fancy hotel. That'll be a story for another time. So I made They made me a supervisor and for the store, and I got 50 cents more an hour. I didn't want to work too much, so I asked for part-time pay, part-time hours, and with my commute to that job, that gobbled up 1 hour. Taxes, because of my pension from my job, puts me in a different tax bracket. That gobbled up another hour. I loved my team members. I knew that they were struggling because they had their wage and maybe their partner had a wage, or maybe they were single and they had a roommate. So I would often bring coffee, and so that gobbled up another hour. So for a 4-hour shift, I was working to earn 1 hour, 1 hour's pay. And unfortunately, I had to stop working because I'm not bright enough to figure out how to not pay taxes. When it's tax time, it's tax time. Do I need this M? I actually have 2 M's. I don't need this M. So I'm going to let this completely dry. And then I'm going to come in and do another coat of another pink. Alrighty? So let's stop this for a second and let me tell you the lesson that I learned. Alright? Because I'm associated with all of these people. Quite in the range of people. And I have friends. Thank goodness I've been able to maintain friends with a lot of them. And I love seeing them. Love, love, love. Apparently some of the people that I've maintained relationships with, I've known them for 20 years. So remember, I made $15 an hour. Follow along, people. Then I lived on $35 an hour. And this is, when a single mom, I would call it $35 an hour minus 3. So I was responsible for 3 of us, myself and my 2 children. And then I made anywhere from 28 to 34. That was during those 14-year relationships with just me. I didn't have, he carried his own bills. I didn't have anybody. That's a huge difference in income. Okay, so here's your generous tip that I'm giving you. I have people that need money come to me all the time. And when they ask me for money, I have to calculate in my head, which area are we talking about here? If I give this person these wages and give them 2 hours, oh my gosh, why didn't I pick an easier number? Let's say 35. Say $70. That's a 2-hour gift. I don't ask people for money back. But for a $15 hour, I gotta do this. Sorry guys, I'm really not with it today. That's more than 4-hour shift. That's more than half a day if I gave them $70. So this must be kind of halfway through that. So when I think about my times, oh, it's okay. I have like, I know what my bills are. I know what I owe. Somebody needs some money. Why don't I give them $250? Why not? I've got $150 in my bank account. Hold your horses, people. For this person, $250 is, yeah, I can make it work. This person is like, wow, you just saved me. I don't have to worry about gas. Actually, I might go out for a wings and beer with my friends. This person be like, what the frick am I going to do now? Now I owe this person $250? It puts a heavy weight on that friendship. So that's my motto. If you are asked for money, and if somebody is in enough dire needs that they need money, they're not going to tell you what they need. To me, $250 because of this. Excuse me. Excuse me. So what I have to do is I have to divide that in half. Help me out, guys. I have to divide that in half, okay? So that's one division, 175. Then I have to divide it in half again. So maybe $90. That's still a really good gift for somebody that's making $15. Tell me down below, guys, those of you in minimum wage, if someone just handed you $90 when you needed money, your cell phone's running out, you need gas, you need to get to your parents' house or something like that, $90 is more comfortable friend request than this. I don't want to lose my friends. I don't want to shame them, embarrass them, flaunt stuff. I have problems too. Shit happens. So that's your lesson, guys. Give me a comment below what you think, and I'll continue my painting. Don't forget, divide it in half again. Take care, guys.